Hartford judge granting a new trial for a man convicted of strangling a woman to death in Hartford more than 25 years ago. Alfred Swinton was convicted in 2001 of killing Carla Terry in 1991. But a new DNA test showed that he was not the source of bite marks on her body. Swinton has been released now and promised to return to court at a later date. He was investigated but never charged in 4 other murders in the 1990s. He has denied killing anyone.
Hello everybody and welcome to Convoluted. I'm Jesse Asher, and today I'm going to tell you about a man who was wrongfully convicted for sexual assault and murder in Connecticut. January 13th, 1991, in Hartford, Connecticut, near the University of Hartford, the body of 28-year-old Carla Terry was found early in the morning. It was apparent that she was sexually assaulted and strangled. So according to one of the court documents that I was able to find online, State v. Swinton, May 11, 2004, it stated the official cause of death was manual strangulation. And I will link that document below, as I do with everything I use. So if you want to take the time to actually read it yourself, go for it. If I took all the details from that one document alone, then this episode would easily triple in length, if not more. Witnesses claimed that they had seen Alfred Swinton, who was 42 at the time, talking with the victim in a tavern earlier. Shortly after, police searched Alfred's apartment with a warrant. And according to the National Registry of Exonerations, his apartment was within walking distance of where Carla's body was found. So the police started forming a theory that Alfred Swinton had actually killed Carla Terry because she refused to trade sex for drugs. And so he took the bra that police found in the basement as, like, I don't know why they say that he took the bra. Carla's sister stated that she didn't recognize the bra. Not to say that obviously, you know, a sibling's going to recognize every article of clothing of their sibling, especially underwear, but it just stated, you know, that she didn't recognize it. There have been 4 other women found murdered in Hartford in March of 1991. The police drove Alfred to all of those locations of each murder, as well as the location of where Carla Terry's body was found. So police believed at this point that Alfred was a serial killer because he admitted to knowing the women, but he said he had no involvement in the murders. And that bra that was found in the apartment was found in a common area in the building that's accessible by all the tenants and, you know, anybody else that may be in the building. According to the Washington Post, prosecutors relied heavily on this bra, saying it was an enormous and extremely important piece of evidence. They also told the jury that the bra was taken as a trophy to later use to make him high again. Now, I know I've mentioned junk science in some of my previous episodes, and it's relevant in many cases. And because this was the early 90s, we're going to dive into some junk science. From the National Registry of Exonerations again, there was a forensic analyst that claimed the bite marks on Carla Terry's breast were made by Alfred Swinton. And because of that statement, Alfred was arrested on June 25th, 1991. However, a judge in the case had Alfred released after ruling that there was not sufficient evidence to charge him with murder. This was after the forensic analyst said that there wasn't a way to determine when the bite marks were left. So after he was released, the case went cold, but in 1998, Alfred Swinton was once again arrested for the murder of Carla Terry. We're going to tap into a little more junk science with these bite mark analyses. According to a different forensic odontologist, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, that odontologist examined the evidence and claimed that those bite marks mentioned earlier were actually left not that long before Carla Terry was murdered. And according to ScienceDirect.com, forensic odontology is a subspecialty of dentistry that has its main focus on the identification of deceased persons. In 2001, Alfred Swinton went to trial in Hartford, Connecticut. So remember the sister of Carla Terry who said she didn't recognize that bra back in 1991? Well, during trial, she actually testified that that belonged to her niece, who loaned it to the victim, Carla Terry. Her sister also said that she had helped pin the bra so that Carla could wear it. And Dr. Gus, I'm probably gonna butcher this dude's name, but Dr. Gus Karatsoulis Karatsulis. He was a major problem in this whole case. He was the chief forensic odontologist of the Connecticut State Police Forensic Science Laboratory, and he testified at trial. Woo! And according to the National Registry of Exonerations, he claimed that the bite mark analysis was an exact science that could link an individual to a bite mark to the exclusion of all other individuals. That's some bullshit, just saying. Doesn't work that way. And again, from the National Registry of Exonerations, he determined after his examination that Alfred Swinton was a match for the teeth marks on Carla Terry's body to a reasonable medical certainty without any reservation. One individual also testified that he saw Carla Terry on the night of the crime around 1 a.m. at Oakland Terrace Cafe. A man by the name of Hector Freeman apparently agreed to take her home and claimed to have left with Carla shortly before 2 a.m. and dropped her off at her sister Rhonda's house. Another witness by the name of Darlene Chappelle, I hope it's Chappelle, testified about seeing Alfred and Carla together, but that Alfred had actually left before Carla did. And another witness, Martha Point Dujois, who was a customer at the bar, testified that she saw Alfred with Terry as well. She claimed that Terry left with Freeman and Alfred left alone afterward. Carla's sister Rhonda, she testified that she saw Carla get out of Hector Freeman's car sometime after 2 a.m. Rhonda said that she saw Carla walk across the street out of her view, and then she never arrived into the residence. And less than 3 hours later, Carla Terry's body was found. Mary Alice Mills was a witness that claimed she heard Alfred say he got away with murder in 1991, but couldn't remember his exact words. She also admitted that she was drinking and smoking weed when she heard that. Another witness, a classic jailhouse informant, because of course, you know, I already got junk science, might as well throw a jailhouse informant into this because they're always reliable. This witness was James Arnold, who was an admitted drug addict and inmate at Webster Correctional Institution. James claimed to have had a couple conversations with Alfred in 1991 in which Alfred told him that he bit the victim. And from the National Registry of Exonerations again, there was another witness who stated in her testimony in 1991 that Alfred Swinton was innocent of the murder, but the police had him because of the teeth marks. This witness was also a habitual drug user. Not disregarding that people can't be good people if they're addicted to drugs, it just makes for not a good mix when it comes to testimonies because it can't be seen as reliable. The prosecution did some dirty shit, and they used and presented segments of a tape recorded interview that Alfred Swinton did with a freelance writer by the name of Karen Haller. In an article that she published about the murders of multiple women, she had Alfred quoted saying that the women probably traded sex for drugs and that he was being falsely accused of being a murderer. Apparently, Alfred denied having any involvement in Carla Terry's murder and denied any involvement in any other murders. But naturally, those denials were, of course, not published in that article by Karen Haller, which kind of goes against the code of ethics with journalism, as far as I know. I'm not an expert, but Karen. According to the Washington Post, Karen Haller also got Swinton drunk before interviewing him. Again, Karen, code of ethics. Don't be a shit person. Damn. And another inmate in jail by the name of Michael Scalise testified about Alfred having confessed to him that he was responsible for Carla's death. He claimed that Alfred Swinton told him he had sex with Carla, bit her breast, killed her, and took her bra. The police provided Michael Scalise with a tape recorder, but he failed to receive a confession from Alfred. In fact, Alfred repeatedly claimed he was innocent. Let's bring on another expert who testified this time for the defense, and he, Neil Reisner, stated that his examination revealed no match between Swinton's teeth and the bite marks. He also testified about the images that other Dr. Karatsula used and said that they were too blurry to allow for a positive match anyway. He mentioned the false appearance of a match due to computer enhancements. But the jury convicted Alfred Swinton on first-degree murder on March 21st, 2001, and he was sentenced to 60 years in prison. And according to the Washington Post, Cold Case Files had an episode run in 2002 depicting Alfred Swinton as a guilty man, found guilty off of reliable evidence. some of you may already know this, but the Washington Post, they mention how things like this have contributed to the CSI effect. I'm just going to quote from the Cornell Law School's website about the definition of the CSI effect for those of you that may be unaware of what it is. The CSI effect refers to television shows like CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, Law and Order, and 48 Hours Mystery, and the impact they have on jurors. It is said that jurors who watch these types of shows may place a heavy emphasis on forensic science in a case. These jurors will tend to believe forensic evidence is 100% accurate and that it should be produced in every criminal case. Prosecutors have claimed jurors may be reluctant to vote to convict if the police were unable to recover any forensic evidence from the crime scene. Good thing is though, Alfred Swinton wasn't charged in any of those other women's murders, and the court later said that the computer enhancement evidence should never have been accepted because the creator of it wasn't called to testify. Despite that, they upheld his conviction in 2004. The Connecticut Innocence Project requested DNA testing be performed on the bite mark swabs in 2014 and 15, but of course that test was not a match to Alfred Swinton. Skin cells were tested from the bra that didn't match Alfred or the victim, so this suggested that that bra wasn't even Carla's, and that bra was a major part of this investigation. You remember the bra that was found in a common area in the apartment? Vaginal and anal swabs were taken as well and did not match the DNA of Alfred. And due to some conflict that I wasn't able to really get some clear information on, the Innocence Project took over representation for Alfred Swinton in his case in 2015. With the enlistment of a law firm, they brought the case to the Hartford County State's Attorney Office, and DNA tests were performed on the fingernail scrapings, which didn't match Alfred Swinton either. And since then, bite mark analysis has been largely debunked as it's not a valid science and is widely rejected from being utilized as a scientific and forensic tool. From the Innocence Project, a 2009 landmark report by the National Academy of Sciences found that there is no scientific basis for forensic odontologists or bite mark analysis to proffer individualization testimony. Many organizations, they reject bite mark analysis, including the American Board of Forensic Odontologists, which is the accrediting board for bite mark analysis. They no longer permit analysis to make positive identifications from bite mark comparisons. Dr. Karatsulis provided a sworn affidavit saying he no longer believed Swinton was the person who inflicted the bite mark on the victim. And I do want to take a second to give some credit to Dr. Karatsulis, Mr. Carrot, as I've seen in many other cases where experts or people who are involved in the wrongful conviction initially, especially with forensic, testing and stuff like that, they often refuse to alter their opinions or even acknowledge that they were in the wrong or review new evidence because of stubbornness and bias. And so I do want to give credit to the fact that he actually was willing to contradict what he initially said. And as the Innocence Project stated, Dr. Karatsulis elevated the truth above personal considerations and now stands as an example of a forensic scientist honoring the duty to correctly record when new facts or data suggest that a miscarriage of justice has occurred. In January 2017, Innocence Project lawyers filed a motion for a new trial in which the prosecution agreed to vacate Alfred's conviction on June 8th, 2017. Alfred Swinton was released on bond, and on March 1st, 2018, the case was dismissed. And he has spent a total of 18 years in prison for this crime. And again, according to the Innocence Project, Alfred's health had clearly been affected by being in prison. He had a pair of glasses that were the wrong prescription, so he had trouble seeing. He was using a cane to help him get around when he should have been using a walker, but they didn't provide one. Once he was released, he did receive proper medical attention. He got a walker, he got proper glasses, and so he was taken care of once he was released. But unfortunately, Alfred passed away shortly after receiving the compensation that he so rightly deserved. And odds are he probably would have lived longer if he was never wrongfully convicted, because people in prison, their health declines a lot more rapidly than people that are not in prison. Thank you guys for watching to the end of this video. Make sure to do all the fun stuff of subscribing and liking. Leave a comment below just to help the algorithm, to help it grow. Check out the Connecticut Innocence Project and the Innocence Project, who helped in this case. I'll have their websites linked below, as well as the National Registry of Exonerations. Check out some other organizations like Marleys Mutts, The Positive Change. They partner with California state prisons, and incarcerated individuals can help with shelter and at-risk dogs, with training and stuff like that, and it helps both the prisoners and the dogs. Check out Jeffrey Deskovic's foundation, the Deskovic Foundation. Check out all the other Innocence projects. Check out the Arizona Justice Project. You can also help out by just spreading these videos to help raise awareness. Thank y'all and have a good night.